The objective today. Today I will demonstrate my understanding to examine which situations are proportional and non-proportional when given a table through class discussion. Let's go ahead and look at our first problem. Alright, so I have a problem. It says you've been hired by your neighbors to babysit the children on a Friday night. You're paid $8 an hour. Complete the table relating your pay to the number of hours that you worked. And then it wants to know, is the pay proportional to the hours? Alright, well let's look. For hour 1, how much am I going to make? Well, it says $8 per hour. So I'm going to make $8 here. Alright, if I work 2 hours, I'm going to get paid $16. If I work 3 hours, I'm going to make $24. If I work 4 hours, I'm going to get paid $32. 4.5 hours is going to be 36. How am I doing that? I'm simply taking 4 times 8, because 8 is my unit rate, or my rate that I'm dealing with here. Alright? So then I have 5 times 8, which is 40, so I get paid $40. 6 times 8, which is 48. And then 6.5 times 8 is $52. Okay? Now, when I look at this table, it wants to know, is the pay proportional to the hours? Remember when we set up the fraction yesterday that I talked about that this word 2 is really, really important, because everything in front of it is going to be my numerator when I set the fraction. Everything to the right of it is going to be my denominator. So when I set this one up, I have 8 over 1. Well, that equals 8. I have 16 over 2. That equals 8. I have 24 over 3, and that equals 8. See how they have the same thing, they equal the same thing? Well, if they have the same number in common, once I divide this out, once I make the ratio and find out the unit rate with that, then that's what we know as it is proportional to each other, because it's increasing by the same amount every single time. We also know it's proportional because when I multiply the hours worked to get my pay, I multiply by the same thing. Alright? Now, we're going to look at a couple more problems and we'll see how those relate. Okay, now we're going to look at 2 tables, and it wants to know, are these tables proportional to each other or non-proportional? I want you to determine if y is proportional to x. So remember the word 2. Okay, so y over x. So when I look at that, are they proportional? Well, let's look at this first table. This table represents the amount of snowfall in 5 counties in inches to hours of a recent winter storm. So if I take 10 divided by 2, that's going to equal 5. Well, if I have 12 divided by 6, that equals 2. If I have 16 rather, 16 divided by 8, that is 2. Well, I can already see that these don't equal each other, so this table is non-proportional. It's non-proportional, and my reasoning would be something along the lines that they do not have anything in common, or they don't increase by the same amount. Alright, the amount of snowfall to time is not proportional because it doesn't increase by the same amount. Let's look at, so how do I do that? Well, first I had to make my ratio. Second, I had to find my unit rate. And 3, I had to make my determination. Okay, to see if they even work. Okay, let's look at the next problem. It says this table shows a relationship between the cost of renting a movie to the number of days on the rent. Well, this is the day and age when we actually rented movies. Well, we don't do that a whole lot. Well, we do with Redbox, I guess. So let's go ahead and look. Y to x. So I have 2 divided by 6, and that is 5/10. No, it's not. It is 0.3 repeating. I have 3 over 9, and that would also equal 0.3 repeating, or 1/3. If I reduce these down, they'll equal 1/3. 8 over 24, okay, is either 0.3 with the bar repeating, or it's 1/3. Or 1 over 3 is 0.3, which is also 1/3. So this one is proportional. And why is it proportional? It is proportional because it increases by the same amount. What I do to my number of days is the same to get me to my cost. I'm simply taking the number of days and I'm multiplying it by 1/3, and that'll give me my number of days. That is really all this lesson is all about. You're going to get a bunch of tables and you have to determine whether they are proportional to each other or not. Now, do not forget to do your whisk form and make sure you bring everything to class. I'll see you in class.